How's it going, guys? Mike Moo here, and in this video, I'm going to show you a Sainlogic SC-07 Weather Station. Before in the past, I used to wonder, what is the point of a weather station when you could just look outside and when you could just check the weather? Let me tell you that I did another video on a Sainlogic weather station, and this is the second one that they sent over to me. And the one that I had was more advanced. Okay, it does everything. It checks the rain, checks the wind, all that stuff. So I get predictions straight off the bat, they actually get on the screen itself. And I found that having the weather station, what it really brings down to is a true micro, or nano climate of exactly what is going on wherever you put the sensor. So it might be a whole 10 degrees different from where I'm at in my backyard or at my house versus where that weather station vane is, wherever it is that they're collecting this data from. And I've actually found that the one that I use locally, which is the one that I've been using, was the Sainlogic one, was actually a lot more accurate. Now, unfortunately, I had a little bit of an accident and my Sainlogic advanced one is broken. So now I have this one. This one's a much more basic model. Pretty much going to do everything that I really care to do, which is generally check out the microclimate in my yard versus how it's like inside. Okay, so this is the Sainlogic SC-07 Weather Station. And as you can see here, it has one sensor included. Okay, one sensor for remote sensing of the temperature, the weather, barometer, things like that you will mount this separately away from the actual weather station, which is over here. This screen shows both of the different types, and I'll get into a little bit of what's in there. It's got indoor, outdoor temperature and humidity. It's got the min-max records of all-time history or the past 24 hours. That's useful information to know so you can see what it's like day to day. More importantly is that it's really simple. So there's really not much setup that you got to do. Okay, so first thing is you get a free 1-year warranty extension. If you register it, that's fine. There's a user manual. This is nowhere near as complicated as the model that I had before. And it also features the same basic stuff like time. It's got time. It's got an alarm clock. It's got news. It's got a calendar, dynamic weather forecast, a history graph, a high-low alarm. You know, the highs and lows. If it goes above a certain weather temperature that you got to be worried about, say you have some plants or you have some animals and stuff outside or even indoors, or if it gets too freezing, like you got to worry about the pipes. Now, I'm here in Sunny Valley, so we don't get a lot of that. But I will tell you this, there's been many times lately where I would ask one of my personal assistants, my digital personal assistants, and I'd say, hey, is it going to rain today? And then sometimes I'd say, look, it's not going to rain at all today, or look, it's raining now. And none of it is actually true because it's pulling out data that is probably a mile away from here. So I really don't get the actual climate that comes with whatever general thing that I can't control, wherever it's coming from. Then I'd have to resort to looking at radar maps, etc. And there used to be an awesome app on the Apple App Store that actually had the microclimates that I could report, but then I got bought out by Apple, and now it's gone. It's defunct. I'm really sad about it. So this has a built-in folding stand here. It's very easy to set up, right? Just like that. And then you got a little spot down here to put on the battery backup in case you lose power, so it retains all your data and settings. And then it's got 3 little mounting holes, so you can mount it up on the wall like a frame if you want to. And then it's got the DC jack. So obviously I'm primarily going to be using the DC jack to give you a little AC adapter cable. This doesn't consume much electricity at all. I put it in, makes a little bit of beep. And then let's see if you can see the screen there once it's powered on. Actually, here we go. It is powering on right now. And since this does not actually it doesn't pick up any atomic clock data or anything, I'm going to have to go ahead and go in there and set up all these settings myself. Now it says to power up the outdoor sensor before powering up the console. And then number 2 is always use power adapter with the console. So what I'm going to do is, this is the remote power adapter, and the proper way you're supposed to do that is exactly the way it says. Now, this unit itself This particular model does not come with any battery, and that is pretty typical. It says it requires two AAA batteries, not included. So I'm gonna have to bust out two other AAA batteries from my battery case here. All right, so I got my two AAA batteries. I'm just gonna stick in here. I'm using rechargeables. It says to use alkaline, but I found that I really haven't had many issues with using the rechargeables, particularly the ones that have very low self-discharge. And looking at this, it probably has a little bit of weatherproof rating, but I don't actually see any field on here, so you're not going to want to drop this in a bucket of water or anything. Hey, so I have this on. I'm going to pull the plug on this, okay, because this needs to be on first. It's a hygrometer sensor. This is the transmitter. It transmits at 433.92 megahertz for the nerds out there. And then I plug this guy in. And if I want the backup power, I'm going to put in these three AAA batteries in here. Again, they want you to use alkaline. I am using chargeable because it's better for the environment. Okay. So now that it's on the side over here, we have two buttons, including a snooze button, which actually dims the screen completely or turns it off. It's got a channel plus set mode button, a history, and alarm. I'm not going to use any of that. And the most I'm going to use just basically set the time, date and time. And also, I don't care about the alarm. Pretty much, I just want to look at a glance and see what's going on inside versus outside. So as you can see right now, it's actually 67.1 degrees indoors. And then we got 49% humidity, which is pretty good. It's got all the information on here in the history. And I see one little problem here is that this transmitter not actually transmitting information that I expected. So it looked like I made that one mistake where I powered on the base station before putting the transmitter on. But never fear, there's actually a user guide in here, and I can flip to the proper page, and I can do a factory reset. I'll do a factory default reset here. So we'll start over from the very beginning. Okay, so history graph, setting high-low alarms, snooze mode, sensor search mode. Okay. If the sensor communication is lost, yep, it will be displayed. Press and hold the channel plus button for 3 seconds. So I will hold down the sensor plus the channel plus button for 3 seconds, which I'm going to do that here. So hold down this button right here. 1, 2, 3. Now it's searching on channel 1 for my sensor. It could very well be that the batteries that I put in here are horrible. They're bad. You know what? I'm actually going to switch these out. There's a good chance these are bad. And I will actually open up a new set of, I'm actually opening up a new set of alkalines here so that we can make sure that these things last like a whole year or more. So I got to plug in now. We put the case back on. There we go. All right. Oh, I immediately found it. Okay, so if you look closely here, you will see that I got the indoors and I got the outdoors. Okay. So right now, the sensor reports a wholly different temperature from what's going on inside versus out. Maybe it's just super sensitive and that I was touching it. So given some time, the two of them should hopefully match up. If not, there's probably some sort of calibration procedure that I should be following to calibrate these properly. But I am holding it, and that will raise the temperature. So that is pretty much it for what this will do. It's got a moon phase too, so let you know what's going on with the moons, and that's because the moon runs on a cyclical cycle, and it knows when that is, as long as I set the proper date and time. Okay, so there's a temperature calibration mode, which I can set. Humidity okay, there's all sorts of calibration mode in here, so I can calibrate it to something that I know for a fact that would be scientifically solid and good. Unfortunately, I don't have something like that around me right now, do that testing, but I will later because right now the two of them don't match whatsoever. They don't match. Okay, so I'm gonna have to let these two sit for a bit. We'll come back. We'll do a little bit of calibration on there and make sure the two of them match if they're both inside, and then also make sure that it's pulling in the correct data from outdoors. There is a whole calibration mode, and the always displays interesting. Okay, in the calibration mode, the remote sensor always displays the uncalibrated or measured value. Interesting. All right, so another important good reason to use this would be setting up an alarm mode. So for those of you guys that have e-bikes or electric scooters, anything running on lithium-ion battery, for a fact that you should not leave these out in freezing temperatures. So if it drops below a certain temperature, you want to hear an alarm and know that, hey, it's freezing outside. And that's where some of the alarm modes come into play, where you can set the minimum and maximum temperatures that should be there before the alarm gets set off. And then it'll give you an audible alarm, and it will beep, and then you can go back and you can check the information history about it. That's where some of the value is. Okay, here we go. 70 degrees, 75 degrees on the sensor. Maybe I am getting a little bit warmer one way versus the other here. So I found out a couple of things about this after I did the unboxing and review. It's been a while since I've used the weather station. So when you get this out of the box and set this up, you're going to have to let it sit for an hour because the sensors and everything apparently need to do some calibration. There's interference or something. I'm not sure. The user guide explained it. You need to let it sit for an hour. So don't calibrate any of these settings. Apparently, the sensors are good within plus or minus 2 degrees Fahrenheit. So as long as they're within 4 degrees and they're right next to each other, then that should be okay. But you can definitely get into the calibration process, and in the manual, it shows you exactly how to do that. But for future reference, it is pressing the set button and the plus icon, holding it for 5 seconds. And that allows you to get into the settings. You can set the settings up by holding it down, and then you'll see something start to flash. For whatever reason, in the quick settings, okay, so this is correcting this is for calibration. Now, I'm going to have to come back in here and reset all this stuff. I'm going to set this back to 0 because obviously I got to wait an hour for things to really adjust. Now, in order to calibrate this properly, you're going to need an external sensor, one that you trust. So I have here the Get Altos here for calibrating the indoor one right over here. So I'm going to calibrate that. And then I have the Alexa air quality sensor for calibrating the one where that other sensor is. So I'm going to go ahead and have this sit for a good hour or so before I go in there and mess with the calibrations of these settings to make sure that they all match up. I just thought you should know that's in fact the case. Not to freak out. All right, this is literally 8 months later. I have been using this. I have had this kept in and plugged day to day, and it has been working perfectly. There has been absolutely no issues whatsoever. As far as the accuracy is concerned, I would say this is more of a accurate to a hobbyist use, not for professional use, for a device that provides such a bright screen, indoor and outdoor sensors, wireless connectivity, for about, I think, $30 right now, $30 to $40 right now. You really can't complain too much.
I have not had to replace any of the backup batteries in here because we don't have like too much in terms of battery power outages here in Sunnyvale, California. And this has been proven to be really helpful in a case where I just want to see what the conditions are just outside the house. So it's great for microclimates. Sainlogic does offer upgraded options that provide connectivity to the internet. This is not one of those. There is no option to have data logging for anything other than the most recent, I believe, 72 hours of barometer readings on here, as far as the history, as far as the forecast and the relative barometer readings over here. I don't think there's a way to get any of this data out here. So if you are looking for options such as that, you're probably going to want to upgrade to one of the higher end models. But for what it is, a nice simple weather station, it gives you microclimate information live up to date. This has been good. I can't really say too much else wrong with it. So if you are looking for something simple like this, then consider checking this out. I have links down below. They're not affiliate links at all. And once again, I want to thank Sainlogic for sending another one of these for me to do a little video and do a full-on testing of their product. Please give us a like, subscribe for more. I'll catch you next one. Let me know if you have any questions about it. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.